Hey guys, and welcome to the final objective for your SchoolNet training today. We all knew that this moment would come. So what we're focusing on in this video is how to create multiple assessments for each objective. So that's how you're going to link your assessments to the same standard, okay, without duplicating the same test. So we're going to go into SchoolNet and go back to Assessment Admin and click Create. This is the same process as if we were just creating another formative assessment. We are going to create a test manually. Okay, I'm going to choose English Language and Literature, 9th grade. We're just going to put 2 items on this assessment, have those all multiple choice. We're going to put this assessment just on my classroom level. Have a proficiency score. Again, that's for proficiency on benchmarks and standards. We're going to pull standards from the Common Core State Standards K-12 Language Arts. No, do not want just an answer key. Okay. These again, I wouldn't worry about. So go ahead and generate your test. Okay, so now that you're here, you are going to add the standards. So I think in the last video that I did for the formative assessments, it's been a couple of days, but I believe I looked up standards that had to do with grammar. So we're just going to go right back to grades 9 through 10, English Language Arts. We're going to go to Language, Conventions of Standard English, and you can see the standards that I believe I chose before. We're just going to go ahead and select this again and hit done. Okay. Now here under item number 1 it says multiple choice, but we're going to click change type and we're going to go to item lookup. Okay, so there are a plethora of items to choose from, as I've already discussed, but we're just going to look by standards for items. Grade level is not kindergarten, it's 9th. And we are going to look for, again, not all of these standards that are input in here. Some of the standards are input twice for whatever reason. So look for the ones that have the highest number of populated pre-existing items. So I'm going to click here. Go to language, there are 33 items. And for conventions of standard English, there are 22 existing items. Okay. So I'm going to select this standard with the 22 items and view results. Okay, so once I've gotten here, this is the same standard that I assessed on the first formative assessment that I created. But the difference with this test is that I actually can go from here and choose different test items that I want on my test instead of just having SchoolNet create it all for me. If you do that enough, you're going to give the same tests over and over. This is really important, especially, for example, in an English Language Arts classroom, speaking from my own experience. If you do grammar every week, at the end of every week, you don't want to give your students the same test, even though that one standard covers multiple things like parallelism and other types of grammar. It's not going to behoove your students to give the same assessment again. So this gives you the opportunity to select original test items. So I could choose this one. If I'm doing prepositional phrases this week, I could choose this one. And then I just talked about parallelism. If I was doing parallelism next week, I would just select this one and others like it. So Once you've selected the items that you want on your test, just click Add Items to Test. Sometimes you'll have warnings that items contain errors that must be resolved. Just ignore it. There's nothing that you can do really at this point. A lot of those are server-side, not client-side errors, which just means that those errors belong to SchoolNet, not to us, and they'll be resolved. In this case, the reason that we have this problem is that we only originally allotted 2 items in SchoolNet that we wanted to have on this assessment, but it had created one for me before we did the item lookup. Remember, it was item number 1 multiple choice where it was trying to get me to do that. Just delete it, and then you won't have to worry about it anymore. Okay, and then so here are the items that you created, or that, excuse me, that you selected. They're already ready for you, so just click Ready to Schedule. Are you sure you're ready to schedule the test? At this point you should be, so go ahead and click Yes or OK, whatever your browser tells you. Then you will have to click Schedule again over here to actually schedule the test. But over here you've got some options I just want to take you through. You can copy this test if you want to create different forms with the same standard. So this is really useful for the grammar, again, if you're doing grammar every week, or if you're, no matter what subject area it is, you can copy the test and go through and just edit the items individually, just like I showed you for each week. You can create a test booklet. So this right here is very important if SchoolNet is down, because we all know that the reliability of SchoolNet is unpredictable. I've been told that this is going to drastically improve this year, and I've noticed that in the off hours this is not an issue at all. So I think it's that we have so many people accessing these new servers at one time and adding items that things are getting slow and bogged down, because it's 9 o'clock right now and we're having no issues. So but if you are having issues with everybody using the system, since it is launched statewide this year for use, then just download the booklets right here. A PDF will come up. If you prefer Word documents, you can have that as well. And then a cover sheet and an answer key. So it includes everything that you could possibly want. I'll just show you what that looks like very quickly. I apologize for the wait time. We'll come back to that. Under schedule information, this is where you can go to schedule the test. I'm not really sure why the button is here twice. Redundancies that still need to be worked out, I'm assuming, but for all intents and purposes, those are really the only 2 that you need to worry about, because you've already taken care of the rest of these. If you are specifically I've been told specifically for math and science, if you'd like to add formula sheets or similar things to that, you can add those right here and SchoolNet will accept them. You just choose the file from your computer and it can be any format. So just go ahead and click Schedule this test, and you can assign it to the classes, select an opening date, a closing date, and a due date. Again, some other options. Make it a time test, etc. You can choose to edit the assignment where you would like to put the exam. I don't have any sections of students loaded in yet, so it's not going to let me do that. It's just going to try to assign it to all 9th graders at Newton-Conover High. That's not what we want to do, but that will change with time. And then click Save, and you're done. Normally, it would save, but I've not input this data, so it's not going to right now. And with that, we will look to see if this is ready. This is what the test will look like if you PDF it. Again, it's really clean. It's good to use, and you can input the data from the assessment in manually into SchoolNet if you're not able to access it for that day, or if you just prefer the paper format all the time. So that is an overview of how to create different items and assess different items for the same standard in SchoolNet. One note that I would like to cover before we close, you can also test multiple standards at a time in SchoolNet. I know that is an absolute no-brainer for you at this point, but all you need to do is just add multiple standards, as I think I covered in an earlier video. Add multiple standards to an assessment and it will pull items for each standard that you're testing. So in theory, if you wanted to test your students' proficiency on every standard in your curriculum for your course, you could pull in all the standards and create like one big final exam, but it will be difficult to assess every standard because that's going to be a huge test. But it is possible. SchoolNet has that capability, and it works the best with express tests. With that, you are going to go ahead and complete your 8th quest to create a new test with 2 questions just as I have shown you, and make sure that those align to your existing standards or benchmarks or objectives depending on your curriculum. And with that, you have completed your training. Thank you very much.